That's on. Jamie Barbas, can you hear me okay? Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
I'm here.
I'm here.
Good morning, everyone. The board meeting of the Gateway Development Commission is now called to order. Today, we are holding a public meeting of the Gateway Development Commission's Board of Commissioners. Today's meeting is being held in person, but public comments will continue to be solicited virtually. Audio is also being live streamed from the Gateway Program website. The Commission will solicit comments from members of the public who have signed up for in-person comment. The Commission is also soliciting comments from the public that may be participating today virtually. A form for soliciting these comments is posted on the Gateway Program website for those who wish to submit a comment for today's meeting. Acting Secretary Maria Anderson, may I ask you to conduct the roll call and report on the public notice for today's meeting, please?
Co-Chair Gray-Wolverk. Vice Chair Kosha.
Here.
Commissioner Barbas.
Here.
Commissioner Bauer. Commissioner Rosen. Here. Commissioner Dominguez.
Here.
We have a quorum. Adequate notice of today's public meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the Gateway Development Commission has been provided in accordance with the Commission's enabling legislation. The agenda and public documents pertaining to the board meeting have been made publicly available on the Gateway Program website. Notice of the meeting was posted to the website 5 business days before the meeting, and public notice of the time and place of the meeting was provided to appropriate media outlets. A video recording of this meeting will be posted on the Gateway Program website.
Thank you, Maria. Prior to beginning, I wanted to provide a brief update on GDC leadership. The board has begun a process for a CEO search to ensure GDC continues to have world-class leadership that builds on the incredible success momentum of the last 2 years. We've been meeting among the co-chairs and having discussions with our board members. To ensure, obviously, the continuity of this process, Mr. Calori has agreed to remain in his role for an additional 60 days. Chris has been an incredible leader whose work has built an organization and partnership that will last with dedication, fairness, and unwavering commitment. His efforts have brought us to the point of no turning back on the nation's most imperative and important infrastructure project. We are grateful he'll be here as we complete the transition from planning to building, and we look forward to welcoming a new CEO in the near future to complete that work. So thank you, Chris, for staying on a bit longer. The next item on today's agenda is a report on the minutes of the July 2nd, 2024 meeting of the board. I will now turn to Ms. Anderson for a report on the minutes of that meeting.
Copies of the minutes of the meeting of July 2nd, 2024 were delivered in electronic form by Acting Secretary Edmund Caulfield to the governors of New York and New Jersey on July 2nd, 2024. Expedited approval and waiver of the 10-day veto period was granted by the governors of New York and New Jersey on July 2nd, 2024, at which time actions recorded in the minutes went into full force and effect.
Thank you, Maria. We will now turn to the GDC staff for an update on the Gateway program. And before they begin, I ask that Ms. Anderson, as Acting Board Secretary, please read a statement into the record.
Prior to the I will note for the record that Commissioner Barbas has been recused from all matters involving the delivery partner contract. Commissioner Barbas will drop from the line when this action item is presented.
Thank you. Mr. Calori.
Words. We have another consequential board meeting today, but before we do that, let me thank you and the board for the extraordinary support you've given me and my team over these last 2 years. While your comments were directed at me, we wouldn't be here, but for your leadership on the board and for my colleagues here and the SCPs and the partners in the governor's office and the United States Department of Transportation and the White House. I am grateful to have had this opportunity. When I turned in my resignation, I did so only because I believed it was the right time for me to leave, because we had achieved every single objective we had laid out in the last 2 years. The team that we have built can not only function, but do extraordinary things, as evidenced by the fact that 23 days after signing the full funding grant agreement, you are about to consider voting on the first tunnel contract. That doesn't happen because of one person. It happens because you have an extraordinary team around you, and that is what I've had the privilege of overseeing. Equally important, I'm personally excited to think about my next stage of my life. But I care deeply about this organization, and I care deeply about the people that work in this organization and the staff. The fact that I can help, as I promised, during this transition to make sure it's a smooth transition and a transition that is reflective of GDC's best values, which is we always watch for each other and make sure that ultimately nothing ever happens to the project or this organization. That is the commitment I made to you my first day. That is the commitment I'm making to you today. And I'm grateful that I can be part of the transition. And thank you so much for that. We have a very, very important agenda today, but if you'd permit me just a minute before I turn it over to my colleagues, we're going to talk about the program itself. We're going to talk about Palisades and HRGS, and we're going to talk about the contract award for both those projects and the action items. But before we do that, I'm going to give you a quick update on what has happened in the last 23 days, which sounds like a very short period of time, but a lot has happened. As all of you know, on July 8th, we signed the full funding grant agreement. That very same afternoon, we got the first infusion of $800 million from the FTA at 3:15 that afternoon. At 8:15 that night, Pat McCoy and a whole bunch of us closed on the largest RIF loan the country has ever seen because of the RIF loan we signed with New Jersey, New York, and the Port Authority. In the next few weeks, we're about to bring to you an agreement that memorializes the Fed-State partnership at $3.8 billion, which is intended for Package 2 and other things. When you add it all up together, not only is significant portion of the money for all the contracts you have awarded and you're about to award in hand, but we are fully prepared with authorized and appropriated money to make sure there is no gap in our funding as we award some of these very, very big contracts. And that was a very important point I want you to know, because people think about disruptions and ask questions about it. We just wanted to know that what you have helped us do, commissioners, is give us the bandwidth to sort of think about this very thoughtfully and execute it at a level in coordination with the DOT to make sure that as these contracts are awarded, there's funding available to it, so there's no issue about whether there is going to be a gap in financing. Just a quick run through. We've started construction, as you know, on both sides of the river. HRGS, which you're about to consider phase 2, is already, the barge is already out there and the work is starting in earnest. And we have 74% of the money committed from the federal government. We have finalized all the governance frameworks and documents necessary to now deliver the project, as evidenced by some of our partners who are here today. The Port Authority, New Jersey Transit, and Amtrak are fully engaged on all aspects of the project, and New Jersey Transit as well, sorry. The last thing I would say is that we also have, GDC is an evolving organization. We will have ebbs and flows just like any other organization. But what I want to assure you is, as we sort of think about our staffing needs, we are thinking about the demands and making sure we meet the changing demands of the project. And I think that's an important, so we understand we're not a static organization. The demands change as the project evolves from a planning project to a construction project. So we are, as I've said many times before, with today's consideration of the votes that you're going to vote on later today, we are at a point of no return, factually, objectively, and in every measure that we have promised. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Pat McCoy, our CFO, to give you a brief financial update. Pat.
Thank you, Chris. Commissioners, 2024 truly has been a milestone year for the Gateway Development Commission and the Hudson Tunnel Project, and I just want to quickly summarize where we stand on funding. In January, GDC and Amtrak executed a funding agreement for $1,016 million. In June, we executed the RAISE grant for Tonelli Avenue, the bridge and utility relocation project. And then, of course, as Chris noted, on July 8th, we closed on the full funding grant agreement with the Federal Transit Administration and 3 RIF loans of $4 billion, again, representing the largest RIF loans ever granted by the Build America Bureau. We closed on a liquidity facility of $500 million to really facilitate our payments in advance of seeking grant reimbursements. And then next and last, certainly not least though, is the $3.8 billion federal-state partnership grant that we're expecting from the Federal Railroad Administration in the coming weeks. So a very good story and a very important year for GDC. And, okay.
Commissioners, as I mentioned to you today, you're going to consider a vote to award the Palisades Tunnel contract. It marks the single largest contract that the GDC board is going to consider, and it is the most complex to date. This is the start of our major tunneling activity, and we've got very good responses, and our procurement folks, along with the states, have worked collectively to select a proposer that Anthony will talk about. But what I thought would be appropriate is to just give you a quick technical update on what this project is. So I'm going to ask Jim Morrison, our CTO, to come and do that. Jim?
Thank you, Commissioners. And yes, this is a proud day for the GDC team and for all of us. But just a quick overview of what the Palisades Tunnel is. And our first project that actually mines. So it's going to be a twin tunnel system, 28-foot diameter, starting at the Tonelli Avenue work site and mining to the Hudson County shaft. It includes the construction of the portal to launch from at Tonelli Avenue, and it includes construction of the Hudson County shaft itself. It includes also 6 cross passages to be built in the tunnel. Now, this was submitted as a design bid build and a best value method procurement, and the awarded contractor met those challenges, and Anthony will cover that. This will begin construction or on award in the summer of '24, with mining actually commencing after the procurement of the tunnel boring machines by the beginning of 2026 and conclude in the spring of 27. So, do I have control here? So just a brief summary of some of the key high points. These will be new rock tunnel boring machines, 2 of them, 1 for each of the bores. The final lining will be cast-in-place segmental concrete lining constructed as the mining proceeds. The 6 cross passages I talked about will be mined and cast in place. All of the staging operations will happen from the Tonelli Avenue work site, and construction of the Hudson County shaft by slurry wall method to its final invert. It will later be converted into other supporting features and the fan plant ultimately of the project. Talk a minute about the Hudson River Ground Stabilization, HRGS. This work is in progress right now. In fact, even though the slide says our first heavy construction contract, I do want to give due deference to Tonelli Avenue as an awarded project. But this is certainly a very significant project. This is one that is required as an advanced work to allow for mining of the Hudson River Tunnel ultimately. So this is an advanced piece of work. Its purpose is to strengthen the riverbed to facilitate that future contract for the Hudson River. The project will strengthen 1,200 feet of the Hudson River river bottom. First phase of work has already begun. This was considered earlier, and you'll be considering awarding the second phase of this work later today. But the first phase includes survey of the river bottom. It includes the removal of obstructions, and it includes the setup of a test section to demonstrate and prove the feasibility of the methods. The second phase will allow for the continuation of that work and the completion of the project. The pictures on the screen give some location and dimensions that would be considered for that project. The marine bathymetric and geophysical surveys, like I say, are in progress right now. Obstruction removal, anything that is defined, and we'll be seeing those results very soon. Any obstructions will be removed ahead of time, and the design of the temporary staging area and containment structure is at the 100% design level and going through the approval process right now, so they'll be ready to go with the section. The team has been, the contract has been executed and managed by our SEP, the Port Authority, and the whole team has been working together well and is in communication with the Corps of Engineers and the Coast Guard to maintain safe marine traffic during all of their operations. I'll turn it over to Anthony.
Thanks, Jim. Good morning. As Jim and Chris mentioned, we have two procurement actions for your consideration today. First one is our award of our Palisades Tunnel project. As you know, and previously we received we qualified 5 firms, and 5 proposals were received in June. We vetted them, and we have a best value selection of Schiavone Dragados Lane joint venture. The award of the full contract to the JV is $465,600,000, along with the market case estimate along the PDA guidelines. So that's for your consideration. Secondly, as Chris and Jim mentioned, we are looking to award or implement the second NTP, Notice to Proceed, of Hudson River Ground Stabilization Contract. I'll walk through the bullets quickly. We awarded to Weeks Marine, and NTP 1 was issued, not to exceed $100 million. And it was issued pending the full funding grant agreement, which was received in June, and now we're at the stage where we're able to implement NTP 2. So that is offered for your consideration as well today. So, thank you.
So, Commissioners, for your consideration today are 5 items. One is the award of the Palisades Tunnel. The second is the market case estimate for the Palisades Tunnel. The third is to phase 2 of HRGS. Fourth is we're so pleased to have an Inspector General candidate who has been selected as required by the GDC statute. This is a board obligation, and you have selected it, and we're going to ask you to consider his candidacy today and approve it. And then the final thing is to make sure that we have the authority to delegate the CEO in connection with the contract for the performance of the delivery partner extension for MPA, our delivery partner. So those are the action items that you'll be considering today. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Pat, Jim, Anthony, and of course, Chris. Ms. Anderson, as acting board secretary, can you please make sure that Commissioner Barbas is back in the meeting? Great. I know for the record that the commission has solicited in-person and virtual comments from the public in advance of and during today's meeting. A form for soliciting these comments was posted to the GDC website in advance of the meeting, and members of the public attending in person also had the opportunity to register today when arriving. The comment form for virtual participation was available throughout today's meeting. The commission received 2 virtual public comments by 5 p.m. on Wednesday, July 31st, 2024, from the following individuals: Shelley Armato from My Smart Plans, and John Harmon, the African American Chamber of Commerce of New Jersey. If any virtual comments are received during today's meeting, they will be distributed to the board and posted on the Gateway Program website after today's meeting. All public comments received will also be filed in the commission's records. Ms. Anderson will now conduct the public comment period for those speakers who have registered in person today. Thank you.
Today, we have 4 registered speakers. Speakers, in order to give everyone an opportunity to be heard, we request you limit your comments to 3 minutes. In accordance with the GDC Open Meetings policy, the public comment period may be limited to 30 minutes. The first speaker is Brian Fitch from PCAC.
Good morning. I'm Brian Fritsch, Associate Director for the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA, PCAC. Created by the New York State Legislature in 1981, PCAC serves as a voice for riders of the MTA, users of the MTA system in the development and implementation of policy, and to hold the MTA board and management accountable to riders. PCAC is proud to have recently joined the Build Gateway Now coalition in support of the Gateway program, as it represents one of the most transformative infrastructure projects in the region. Our regional rail system does not exist in a vacuum. We were thrilled to see the historic full funding grant agreement for the Hudson Tunnel project, which was particularly impressive due to setting a new standard for federal funding for transit projects, and have also been pleased to watch the progress of construction with the Portal North Bridge. PCAC recognizes what a major impact the Gateway program will have for New York residents west of the Hudson, especially after the Bergen Loop is constructed. A one-seat ride to Penn Station will be a game changer for Port Jervis and Passac Valley line riders, who have some of the longest and most tenuous commutes in the region. Speaking of Penn Station, PCAC is also looking forward to more work being done to build upon the success of Moynihan Train Hall and the updated Long Island Railroad corridor. While the conditions at Penn have certainly improved, we recognize there is far more work to be done, and both before and after Metro North trains and riders begin traveling there. Congrats to outgoing CEO Chris Kaluri and the rest of the GD staff for all the progress you've made so far. We know the work being done by you will pay dividends for generations to come. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Ortega from Local 825.
Good morning. My name is Daniel Ortega. I am with the Operating Engineers Local 825 Labor Management Fund, ELECT. ELECT is the labor management fund for the more than 8,000 highly skilled union members of the Operating Engineers Local 825 and the nearly 1,000 signatory contractors who employ them. I would be remiss if I did not mention the great work that Commissioner Dominguez is doing up in New York, particularly in the Hudson Valley, where many of our members live and work. It's always a good day for me when I get the opportunity to see and be in the same meeting with the commissioner. Today is a monumental day, and we thank you, the commissioners and the staff, for all your efforts and hard work that have gotten this project to this point. While it feels like it was just a few weeks ago, we were here in this room back in December asking for this project to move ahead to a point of no return. Well, I believe that we are at that point now. The release of construction contracts today begins a process more than 100 years in the making since the last Hudson River tunnels were bored. We are proud to have advocated for these tunnels in every effort and form since they have been taken. Boring is very exciting. The idea of boring these tunnels gets all of us in the construction industry very excited. Our members look forward to working on these incredible machines. The Hudson Tunnel project is not solely about construction jobs. Our members don't just work here. They live here and they raise their families here too. We know the benefits of safe, reliable infrastructure for our communities. These projects will help to improve the entire Northeast Corridor on the long run and help in remain the economically competitive and the ability for New Jersey to remain a great place to live, work, and visit. Once again, I want to thank the Commission and for your leadership and to allowing this critical, important project to move ahead. We cannot wait to continue having more conversations about boring things and working with all of you. Thank you.
Speaker is William Healy, New Jersey Alliance for Action.
Thank you to the members of the Commission for allowing me to speak this morning and represent the Alliance for Action and our President, Jerry Keenan. We're pleased to state once again the strong support of the New Jersey Alliance for Action for the Gateway project. And we fully support the actions you are about to take on your agenda this morning. The Commission is familiar certainly with the Alliance for Action, but for our 50 years, our mission has been to improve the state's economy through the promotion of environmentally friendly capital construction and infrastructure investment. The Alliance is focused exclusively on promoting responsible infrastructure in this region. This includes our unwavering support for the improvement of our transportation system, which unfortunately has been long neglected. And there's nothing, absolutely nothing, more important to our transportation system than the completion of the Gateway project and its many components. We congratulate the Commission and the leadership of CEO Chris Kaluri in bringing the project forward to we're at the point where we see such substantial investment already being made. And we take note that it's only been 23 days since the completion of the full funding agreement, and it's already manifested in the action you're about to take this morning. The Commission this morning is taking the further step with commitments to approve and moving forward on contracts to the Palisades Tunnel Project and Phase 2 of the Hudson River Stabilization Project. These must proceed forward. Every day that we delay, we are subject to a possible transportation Armageddon because of the vulnerability of the 114-year-old tunnel that brings our trains into New York City at the present time. I want to congratulate the Commission as well for working so effectively with President Biden and our congressional delegation of the both states in securing unprecedented funding from the federal government, $12.88 billion worth, more than 70% of the cost of the project, but wholly appropriate for a project that is the most important in the nation, bar none. So for our history, which again is 50 years, the Alliance has been an advocate not just for the infrastructure that needs to be built, but also for the women and the men who build it. And I note Mr. Ortega preceding me on behalf of the operating engineers. That's led by, of course, our building and construction trades. I'll submit the rest of my comments for the record. Thank you for the opportunity to present this morning.
The next speaker is Sam Bowden Akbari for RPA.
Good morning, GDC Board. My name is Dr. Sam Bowden Akbari. I'm with RPA, Regional Plan Association, which is the nation's oldest metropolitan planning organization in the country. And since 1922, we've produced 4 regional plans for the New York metro region. Both our 3rd and 4th plans have called for the work that you're dedicated to every day, namely building the Hudson River Tunnel project. And we can't really understate how important this is. It's the most important infrastructure project in the nation that will provide systemic resiliency and redundancy to the Northeast Corridor line. A major milestone that we all celebrated in a very hot morning was the full funding agreement, which secured $6.8 billion for the nation's largest grant funding that's been awarded. This is the culmination of years, if not decades, worth of work, and it's really due to the cooperation of stakeholders on both sides of the Hudson and in DC. Building a new tunnel under the Hudson and refurbishing the existing North River Tunnel will be transformative for the region, economically, socially, environmentally. We extend our thanks to President Biden, Senator Schumer, and all the elected officials that really strove to get this done. We'd also like to extend heartfelt thanks to outgoing CEO Chris Calori. At extraordinary speed, he's scaled up staff, initiated over $1 billion in contracts, and really secured the money that has set us on this path of success. With the full funding in place, we look forward to the next phase of the Hudson River Tunnel project, the point of no return, the beginning of construction, and a key piece of this is the Palisade Tunnel project contract for the first mile of the Hudson Tunnel. This means that after today, more than half the contracts that make up the Hudson River Tunnel project will be under construction. As the boring machines, which aren't boring, break earth, there's no turning back. This is truly a moment to celebrate both for the region and for the commission. So thank you very much.
Maria, any more speakers?
No, there are no more speakers. Thank you.
Mr. Clory?
Commissioners, I respectfully ask you to consider voting for the Palisades tunnel contract, the first tunnel contracts, heavy tunnel contracts to be awarded in 114 years.
Thank you, Chris. Do any of the commissioners wish to comment? Is there a motion from a commissioner to consider this resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any Any discussion? I move this motion to a vote. Ms. Anderson, please call the roll.
Graywall-Verk,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kosha,
Yes.
Commissioner Barbas,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer, Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosen. The motion passes.
Thank you, Commissioners. I ask for your approval for the market case estimate for the Palisades Tunnel project.
Thank you, Chris. Do any of the commissioners wish to comment? Is there a motion from a commissioner to consider this resolution? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I move this motion to a vote. Ms. Anderson, please call the roll.
Co-Chair Graywall-Verk,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kosha,
Yes.
Commissioner Barbas,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer, Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosen. The motion passes.
Hudson River Ground Stabilization Project.
Do any of the commissioners wish to comment? Is there a motion from a commissioner to consider this resolution?
Motion.
Thank you. Second, please? Janine? Thank you. Any discussion? I move this motion to a vote. Ms. Anderson, please call the roll.
Co-Chair Graywall-Verk,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kosha,
Yes.
Commissioner Barbas,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer, Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosen. The motion passes.
Commissioners, the next resolution is the appointment of our Inspector General for the Gateway Development Commission.
Thanks, Chris. Do any of the commissioners wish to comment? Is there a motion from a commissioner to consider this resolution?
Yes.
I'll move it.
I'll take that as a second, Tony.
Okay.
Any discussion? I move this motion to a vote. Ms. Anderson, please call the roll.
Co-Chair Crowell-Verk,
Yes?
Vice Chair Kosha,
Yes.
Commissioner Barbas,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosen.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Commissioners, we're going to wait for the last resolution to be considered after the executive session. We're going to come back, and Commissioner Barbas is going to drop off, and Co-Chair Glenn should be on the call, so we can have a quorum and consider that resolution.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
So, thank you.
Welcome to Gateway, Mr. Fletcher. Good to have you here today. We will now be entering into executive session to discuss contract negotiations, personnel matters, and matters in which the release of information could impair a right to receive funds from the United States. After the executive session, the board will reconvene in public session and for the purpose of voting on one more action item. I make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss contract negotiations, personnel matters, and matters in which the release of information could impair a right to receive funds from the United States or other grantor. May I have a second, please? Any discussion?
Second.
All in favor, rather?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. See everybody in a little bit. Thank you.
Is now exiting.
Good morning again. I hereby reconvene the open session board meeting. Ms. Anderson, do we have quorum?
I note for the record, the following commissioners are in attendance, and we have a quorum. Co-Chair Glenn, Co-Chair Graywall-Verk, Vice Chair Kosha, Commissioner Bauer, Commissioner Rosen, Commissioner Dominguez. We have a quorum. Prior to considering the next action item, I will again note for the record that Commissioner Barbas has been recused from all matters involving the delivery partner contract. Commissioner Barbas has dropped from the line as this action item is now to be considered by the board.
Item for you to consider is Phase A extension of the delivery partner contract.
Thank you, Chris. Do any of the commissioners wish to comment? Is there a motion from a commissioner to consider this resolution?
So moved.
You, can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I move this motion to a vote. Ms. Anderson, please call the roll.
Co-Chair Glenn,
Yes.
Co-Chair Graywall-Verk,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kosha,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosen.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Ms. Anderson, there being no further business to conduct today, I motion to adjourn. Can I get a second, please? Any discussion?
Second.
Hearing none, I move this motion to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Good morning.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.